Meet Brittany, who is 32 and bought a wedding dress already, and she already got a ring off of Shein to practice wearing one. Careful, Brittany, don't get lost in the purpose of getting married and forgetting about yourself. She has a date with Devante, who is 31. She thinks he has a nerdy voice, but that doesn't deter her. There's nothing wrong with being a nerd, and they both talk about their nerdiness. For Devante is his passion for photography and videography, while for Brittany is childbirth and labor because she is an obstetrics nurse. They have fun and laugh a lot during their dates, and Devante not only wants to, but says he's also ready to have a family now because he has the career part figured out. For both of them, marriage is for life, and Devante unfortunately shares that his grandfather passed during him being in the pods, so he needs support and reassurance that there is a good reason for him to continue in the process. Alex and Ashley. Alex says that he feels really safe in his dates with Ashley, and he shares with her that he's a soccer coach, but it's not necessarily by desire or by choice. He used to play soccer, football, like we call it. And he unfortunately had some injuries and he ended up having four knee surgeries, missing being drafted and missing playing for the drafted team because of his injuries. He felt alone and he said that at some point it was very clear for him that he will not have a football career at any point in his life. And that's why he became a soccer coach. Ashley is very comforting towards him, and she says that she's going to be there for him when he has his dark days and he can talk to her. Kevin is upset in the lounge because Tyler left, and Kia is also a bit taken aback by Tyler crying in the lounge and saying that she's going to leave. But Kia is also saying that victimization is not the way to go forward. Production ends up talking to Tyler about her leaving, and they convince her to stay and to go back in the pods to at least have a conversation with Kevin. I found it funny because you could hear the voice of the production crew asking,
Isn't that what you always do, Tyler? Isn't that what you always do? Leave? Why don't you go back in the pods, huh?
they go back and have a conversation, and Kevin thanks her for coming back. She thanks him for coming back, and he apologizes and expresses that he's not choosing anyone at this point and he feels that there is still time. He validates their bond, but she says that she needs them to be locked in before going into proposal day. And they kind of agree that she's his number one and that he should have a conversation with Kia. Back in the women's lounge, Tyler apologizes to Kia. They talk it out, they hug it out, and the breakfast spreads behind them looked really, really delicious. And I was actually really hungry while writing this and watching the show. Brianna is in a conundrum between Connor, her number one in the beginning, the guy she connected on soccer with, the guy she connected on coaching their kids like their parents used to do, and Chris, who makes her feel comfortable and safe, but he also challenges her and pushes her to be better. Chris also shares with her that another date told him that they would be a good match because they both would like to challenge their partners and to grow together, but making sure that they do that in a kind and loving way. And she says that she appreciates a man taking initiative and showing up for her. But remember, Chris is dating Jess as well, and he thinks that she's more open to emotions, but he mentions she's 6 years older than him. And then he says that that doesn't bother him, but I feel like if things don't bother you, you don't mention them out loud. Jess expresses that Chris is her only love interest in this show, and he reciprocates the feeling and he affirms that she's been his number one from the beginning, and his other connection, is only his bro. All is well until he starts talking about physical types and trying to figure out what they look like. And we get it. You're on the shorter side of the spectrum, and that's fine, Chris. You're feeling insecure, and that's fine. On the other side, Connor is torn between Emma and Brianna. He talks to Brianna about his parents and their relationship with them. His parents were very supportive of him doing this experiment, and Brie is telling him that she sees him in her future and he's the only person that she's thinking about. And they kind of agreed to break up with their other connections and be a couple moving forward. Bree is coming to break up with Chris, but surprise, surprise, Chris was ready to do the same thing. Bree is excited for Chris and Jess dating. In the meantime, Emma realizes who her number one is, and it's Connor for her, and she realizes that she needs to step up her game before losing her man. She goes into the pods to tell him this, but they end up breaking up. He actually breaks up with her, so she's kind of sad about this and cries in the women's lounge. Emma is hurt by the breakup because Connor was her number one, but she is open to giving Mike another shot. But she immediately then shares that she was dumped by the one who she calls her second. Mike affirms that she's been her number one this whole time and they are supposed to have another date later to talk about the ring. Ashley is in love with Alex, or the image he's trying to portray. There's a quick montage of their dates where we learn that they're both clumsy, they both want a yard full of children playing soccer, and they both love the book Alchemist. He goes on the poor knee with the four surgeries and he proposes to Ashley, and Ashley says yes, so they are ready to meet. Like Barbie is ready to meet her Ken and live happily ever after. Her words, not mine. Once again, Alex talks about his habit of dating based on appearance and type, but that he would be happy to marry her anyway. Let's see, Barbie and Ken. Let's see. This is also the most PR inspired confessional I've ever heard about professional athletes and wives and girlfriends of said athletes and how they usually have a certain physical appearance. But there was nothing surprising and they seem to like each other. Alex is happy with how Ashley looks, so now he feels like he can already advise the younger generation to connect emotionally first. Of course, the player gets out, but Ashley reciprocates, all is well in Barbie Land, and the music turns everything very much sensual. Back to Devonte and Brittany. They try to guess each other's ethnicity for a while, but they're not successful. Devonte shares that he was 3 or 4 when his father left and that he was 18 when his father passed, and he is still hurt because he didn't have the chance to ask his father why he left in the first place. He talks about his goals and desires to be a good husband and a father and talks about his journey in therapy. They seem like a good match and they're happy and giggly together. So he proposes to her. She says yes. He has a really nice posture. There is happiness overall. Brie and Connor, they also have their proposal. She reads some nice lines to him. Her boots also look very good. And along with Devontae, Connor is another man that doesn't hunch over during the proposal. Chris and Jess also have their proposal, hunching over. Finally, we are at the last triangle of the show. Kia and Kevin. Kia offers Kevin a watch because watches remind her of her father. Kevin is trying to get very open and honest and says that he's a hard-working man with a humble apartment and a beat up car. And Kia kind of interrupts him to say that he sees him exactly as he is, an awesome person, and says that material things don't matter to her. What is Kevin's gift towards Kia? A basketball. But in the confessional, he says that he doesn't feel worthy of either hers or Tyler's affection, and it's all kind of blurry for him now. In their dates, Tyler tells him that she wants someone to choose her, but Kevin says that he doesn't want to let anyone down. But aren't you kind of letting everyone down by doing this? In the end, he says that he's choosing fucking Tyler, which is maybe not the way I would go by when saying that. But anyway, they are finally official and happy. Let's keep an eye on Kevin though, because something isn't right. I don't know what to say. For me, it feels like Tyler is kind of ready to tax him at any point to catch him in a mistake so as to justify her self worth. She's not content by the fact that Kevin is still talking about his strong connections to Kia because it doesn't sound to her like unapologetically choosing her. She's telling him that she's done and she leaves the experiment. He ends up begging her not to leave and he says that he'll figure out a way to prove it to her, which Jordan suggests should be saying I love you to her. Careful there, Jordan. Kevin is still undecided in the lounge and he says that he doesn't want to make a mistake, but he keeps talking about the need to decide. And I wonder if he's actually just leaving the need to decide to the dates themselves and see what he feels on the spot. But when he goes into his date with Tyler, shock and horror, there's no one on the other side of the wall. In the women's lounge, Tyler says that she is ready to leave because Kevin was definitely not her future husband. She needs to be loved the way she loves herself. I mean, do we blame her for not liking his indecision? Yes, I agree this is an experiment and you date multiple people, but I think that when your number one is asking you to choose them and cut the other connections, if they're your number one, I'm not sure what else you need to experiment. In the end, he says that he doesn't blame her for leaving. The other men advise him to be honest to Kia about the situation and see where she's at and if she still wants to give this a go. And they say it would be lovely for him to be honest about being hurt by his other connection being cut short. Kevin has a very nice monologue about Kia surprising him in a way he didn't expect because he thought he knew what he wants in a wife before the experiment. Kia confirms to Kevin that she doesn't feel like a second option and that she was there to be vulnerable and honest and potentially find love. She has love for him, but shock, she is not in love with him because he is not ready. Kevin, pack your bags and go to school because it's time for your lesson. Kia says that he isn't ready for a relationship, let alone an engagement, let alone being tugged in from two ways. Kia is honestly the hero of the season so far, and I love that she is there to choose herself and teach others that they should choose themselves. And the way she conducted herself during the experiment was just, I just loved it. There was no pettiness, no calling people out, just stating the facts and then a mic drop. Emma and Mike. She seems secure in choosing Mike in the end, and they share some gifts. She offers him some letters her mom wrote about their families, kind of like a newsletter. And I think it's a beautiful way for Mike to take a peek into her family and her growing up. She opens her gift from Mike as well, and it's a scrapbook that they can fill in together. But it was branded Love is Blind, so I don't see how, when asked, did you make it? Mike would say yes. Mike keeps reinforcing that he thinks she would be a good mother, and she's kind of open to the idea, but it kind of seems forced for me at the moment. So let's see where we go from this. But I don't like it. We don't like that, Michael. We don't. Jessica and Chris have their reveal and they seem really happy to finally meet. They are both happy and smiling ear to ear. They have a really good first kiss and they are both nervous while he is proposing again. They compliment each other, they seem smitten, and I almost smiled while watching their reveal scenes. So I'll be very disappointed if this doesn't work out. Brianna and Connor also have their reveal. Connor hopes she's okay with how he looks because he considers himself a standard average dude and he doesn't think that he stands out. He immediately compliments her and they have a nice kiss. She keeps chuckling. She keeps talking about his hands being sweaty and says in the confessional that she is nervous, but she cannot wait to see him entirely, if you know what I mean. They seem immediately comfortable, and the wall was just a thin thing for them, separating them. She's happy that he's not medium ugly, and he's happy that she's not very tall. They seem really happy with each other, and I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. Brittany and Devante also have their reveal. Finally, Brittany can throw away her shin ring and put her wedding dress to good use. She is nervous because of her Latino background, but she hopes that he will love her for who she is. There's some good smooches and kisses, and Devante gracefully gets on his knee and proposes again. She says in the confessionals that she was expecting someone taller, and that got me very confused as a tall woman. I would be happy if someone on the other side is at least a bit taller than me when I'm not wearing heels. Brittany seems to be on the shorter side, and there seems to be a significant height difference between the two of them, and she's wearing heels. So
I'm confused.
Devante was very sweaty, and I'm happy that it wasn't an ick for Britney. However, the thing she said about his looks would have been relatively okay PR wise if she didn't end everything with
We're all gonna get fat anyway.
her words, not mine. Then she goes on to say she likes him physically, and they talk about her background as well. All in all, they seem to be comfortable with each other. They have their inside nerd voice joke already. They have good kisses and overall happiness. But there's no look back from them. Emma and Mike. Emma reads some very nice words to him and she says that she's in love with him. Mike says that he feels safe, but it's been difficult for him in the past to open up the way he has with her. It feels awesome for him to feel validated. And then he gets on one knee with an elbow on his knee and he proposes and she says yes. They'll have their reveal, and I thought that Emma's dress was really nice. It's a rich blue silk maxi halter dress. He also looks good in his suit. I wrote here that Mike feels like he's the right man for the job because of his passion for kids, because it feels like he's applying to be father of the year. Emma is very happy with the ring and with him, and they are playing emotional music in the background to get us emotional too. She says that she finds him very beautiful. She compliments him. He compliments her dress, and he says that he's never dated outside of his race, but he finds her beautiful and is happy to be in this journey with her. They are swooning over each other, especially is swooning over Mike, and they seem comfortable and they say they are excited for each other to meet their families and friends. They have a nice kiss before the end of their date. And that's it. There are 7 couples that got engaged in the pods and now will go to Mexico, with an exception for Vic and Christine, who are going to Malibu for some reason. So I will be back with the honeymoon scenes soon. Bye.